Do you know that about 90% of planned internal successions actually fail? They actually don't get out of the gate. Now I'm going to tell you why. So you may think that a discussion on succession might go something like this. Start early, 5, 10, 15 years in advance. Pick a rookie, train that rookie, groom that rookie, bring that rookie along. Care for that rookie for the next 5, 10, 15 years. Is this sounding familiar? And I really like this one. Make a detailed written plan. You've heard that one again and again, I bet. That's something like less than 10% or 15% or some low number of advisors has a written succession plan. Well, at Advisor Hunt, we do not recommend that you start early, 5, 10, 15 years in advance. We do not recommend that you pick a rookie, train that rookie, groom that rookie, you know the thing. But we do recommend that you make a written plan, and we've written it for you. It fits on a postcard, and you can get your copy here, or maybe the link is below in the comments. We've saved you all of that pain by writing the detailed written plan for you. And so why don't we recommend picking a rookie, grooming that rookie for 5, 10, 15 years? Because most people don't make it as advisors. The success rate is low. You'll remember when you started. I bet you lots of others started too. And how many are still in the business? How many made it? Few. The answer is few. It's less than 10%. The success rate for independent financial advisors is less than 10%. That's not very good odds you're working on. Would you recommend to your clients something that has a 10% chance of working out? No, but it gets worse than that. How many of that 10% is bankable? How many of that 10% can step up to the plate and buy your practice? Unless you want to take a haircut, or maybe you want to be the bank for the next 10 or 15 years. It's about half of that 10%. It's less, but let's go with half. Now we're at a 5% probability, a single-digit probability that your succession plan that you've been working on for 5, 10, 15 years, you've got a single-digit probability of that working out. Hi, I'm Darrell with Advisor Hunt. A couple of years ago, I was at a conference when an advisor pulled me aside. His name was Stanley. He was about to turn 70. And he told me that he had been ready to retire for 3 years, but he couldn't retire. Not because the business wasn't successful, it was. The problem was his succession plan. More than 10 years earlier, when Stanley was in his late 50s, he hired a young associate. The conversation was explicit. This is succession. That was the intent. The assumption was that time and proximity, 5, 10, 15 years of training, grooming, would naturally turn this person into a future owner. Fast forward more than a decade, clients loved the associate. He was competent, dependable. He was a good guy. But he never stepped up. He never grew into the leader that a person needs to be a successful, independent financial advisor. And by 70, Stanley faced a very uncomfortable truth. This was not going to change. So the associate stayed an employee, and Stanley stayed trapped. When I go to a conference and I tell this story, I get a lot of advisors nodding and saying, yeah, that's my situation too. Because Stanley's story isn't unique. It is the most common internal succession pattern that we see. So today we're going to talk about what to do instead. Okay? What 3 things you should focus on to prepare for your succession, not grooming somebody for the next 10 or 15 years. 1, build your practice. 2, define your wants for succession. And then 3, once you're ready, you take your practice to market and you find the right successor then. Point 1, build your practice. When you put your time, energy, entrepreneurialism, care into your practice, do you control that? I mean, as much as you are in control of yourself. Look, even if you're the best boss, the best teacher, the best mentor, do you control the outcome of that rookie? Do you control the outcome of someone else? If you're not sure, let me ask you this. If you're the best parent out there, do you control how your kids turn out? How's controlling them working out? Not so great, huh? Not so great. It does not matter how good we are. You focus on what you control. And so what do you control? You control you. So take control and build the best practice, the cleanest, the best relationships, an intergenerational practice, the best service. Do that and build the most valuable practice that you are able to. That is a plan. Second, define your succession needs. What is your involvement once a deal is done? Do you want a long transition? Do you want to roll over several years? Do you want something quick and clean so you can go to the next chapter of your life? What profile of advisor or team or situation does your client base need going forward? What financial terms are you looking for? Do you want exposure to the industry with some equity? Do you want a higher potential price with a longer payout period? Do you want as much cash in your pocket as you can get so you can go? Work that out. Third step. Now you take your practice to market. When you have built the cleanest, the most valuable asset that you can, you take that to market. You will have no shortage of qualified, successful, and bankable suitors. Your dance card will be full, I guarantee that. And that is a succession plan, a plan that you are in control to execute. And by the way, if you hired a rookie 5, 10, or 15 years ago, and he or she is the right person, you take that. If you got a 5% or that 5% chance landed in your practice, great. Lucky you. But that is luck. That is not a plan. So here's a short checklist to consider for this week. Some questions to ask yourself. Have I built a leader or just a very good employee? Would an external buyer value or be able to pay me more for my practice than my internal plan? And finally, am I building optionality or am I locking myself into one outcome? Grooming your successor isn't wrong, far from it, but it's a roll of the dice. The most successful exits focus on building a practice that is valuable, transferable, and independent of any single individual. If you'd like to explore what your practice is really worth and which exit options you truly have, click the link below to connect with us. And if you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe and join us again next week. I'm Darrell with Advisor Hunt. It's good to have you here, and we'll see you next time.